everybody, and welcome in again to the home edition of Perspectives. Good to have you with us. This is going to be an abbreviated segment today. Technical glitches. We have snow on the ground. We're taping this on December 15th. And if you recall, on the 15th, we were trying to recover from about a 5-inch snowfall in the Tulsa area. And they're saying more snow this afternoon, but just a dusting. And I'm always leery when the weather guys around town say, just a dusting. I've been through the dustings before. In fact, I recall one year we had a 6-inch dusting. So I get a little antsy about that. This is the time of year, of course, the last time we'll get together before Christmas, when Christians all around the world are celebrating the beginning, if you will, of Christianity. And it marks the end of Hanukkah. Our Jewish friends and neighbors and relatives have just finished the Festival of Lights, an 8-day celebration that actually kicked in on December 10th and ended on Friday the 18th. So you will see this probably after the 18th. I'm not quite sure on that, so don't hold my feet to the fire. But having mentioned the Christians and the Jews as two religious groups, I need to point out that I'm sure some of you out there are not affiliated with either one. Perhaps there's nothing you embrace, meaning you have nothing to look forward to. And if that's the case, I might suggest you could run for the Oklahoma legislature or Congress. And if you get in, either one would cause you to look for something to embrace. That you can take with a grain of salt. We have a special guest today, a fellow that's been on our show before, about 10 years ago. And we talked, and you might remember him, Dean Orcutt. And Bobby, are you there?
I am here. Yeah, can you hear me?
Good to see you again.
Good
Bobby
to be back.
is the booking agent for the Mercury Lounge. Bobby, tell us a bit about it.
About Mercury Lounge? It's been, it opened up as kind of a, little dive bar that was really focused on music, and then just kind of through luck and right time and right place and really, kind of curated and focused booking. It's been able to kind of, we've been there for 15 years, and pretty much being a 100-cap room in Tulsa on the way to everywhere means that, when bands will go on tour and they'll come through town before they move on to play in the big room, often they'll play at Mercury. And so we've really kind of like carved out a little section of the world for ourselves there.
I guess COVID virus has hit in your business quite a bit, hasn't it?
Yes, very much so. March of 2020 was our 15-year birthday month, right? Like the bar was going to turn 15 on the 15th. We had 48 shows booked in the month of March, doing, free happy hour shows, touring headliners, closing it out with, really great local artists. And then we were doing a free bluegrass show on the weekend. So yeah, that definitely it's definitely thrown a wrench in the operations.
Where are you right now?
Right now, we are open. We opened bars in Tulsa were closed from like St. Patrick's Day until I think the week before Memorial Day is when everybody reopened, and we took a week longer to kind of really assess the situation. Because we do live music, we have to, there's a lot more work that goes into it. And opening as just a bar was never really an option for us, just because music is so, deeply part of the culture of what we're doing there. So where we are right now is we are open. We're open at a massively limited capacity. We're following some really strict COVID guidelines that were put in place by like the state of Minnesota. Did a lot of research, finding what guidelines we could follow to really feel, as good as possible about doing shows right now. But yeah, historically the shows were all paid through, beer sales, and now that just doesn't happen. It's so, people aren't going out, and people don't have the money to spend that they did back in March. So we've really we've grown in a bunch of different directions to kind of try to pick up the slack and keep as many people employed as possible.
Has there been any talk that you picked up on about closing bars in the Tulsa area?
I So when they closed bars on St. Patrick's Day, I had been one of the other co-owners of the bar is a physician, and we'd been talking since the middle of January, almost daily about stuff. And so it didn't really catch us by surprise. We kind of expected it. Um, Now I'm kind of surprised that it's not. We haven't already been closed back down. It really feels like the numbers continue to rise, and we just don't have a handle on anything. But because bars are allowed to be open, we have to be open. We don't have a choice. If we closed voluntarily, we might not reopen. So that's kind of the dilemma that we have. The situation we're presented with is like, we have to make hard judgment calls pretty much daily.
That
And
puts that puts you and the owners of the Mercury in the same situation that a lot of bar and restaurant owners have around Tulsa and smaller communities as well. I got to tell you, the news this morning was good news and bad news. First, the good news is they're starting to administer the vaccine to frontline workers. Now, it's going to take a while for folks to be immunized, against this horrible disease. But the death count is going up rapidly. We, of course, surpassed 300,000 dead in this country. And as it stands right now, statistically, we're seeing a death a minute somewhere in the United States due to COVID. Given that, we already know that millions, if not billions, have been lost in the music industry nationwide.
yeah,
And a lot of folks are coming up with innovative ways to keep their businesses open without exposing patrons uh, by way of the internet. Have you guys considered that?
yeah, we actually are kind of trailblazers locally when it comes to that. We have been just on a fluke. One of the other owners of the bar started live streaming shows, I think 5 years ago on Facebook. So for a long time, we've had the ability to digitally deliver a show, and it was always just kind of like a nicety. It was just like an extra thing that we did. But on March 17th, when bars got closed, it took us about a half hour, and we were like, okay, so what do we do? And we figured out that, well, we're just going to turn it into a TV studio, and that's what we did. So up until the shelter in place order went into effect, we did a live show from the bar, which was closed every single night. When the shelter in place order went into effect, we figured out how to patch artists in remotely through social media. So we still did a live show 7 nights a week while everybody was locked up at home on lockdown. So kind of, just continuing that trend, we've kind of figured out a model where we'll bring in a band, and we will film like a really nice high def pay-per-view to a closed room before the bar opens for business, which we then sell like a digital ticket. It's like WrestleMania with guitars. And we also started producing our own merchandise and shipping it online. We've got a shop in my backyard. And so we'll bring in a band, and we'll do a pay-per-view with, like a merch bundle. And it's all delivered, digitally and safely. And it gives the artist a little bit of opportunity to generate income. It gives Mercury a little bit of opportunity to generate income. I think at the end of the day, other than just keeping production and bands paid, the best part about it is that it just keeps music fans like hopeful that we're going to come back out of this. I think that's really important right now.
I have a large number of friends who are singers or musicians in virtually all venues, if you will, classical, pop, jazz, rock, whatever you call. I can name folks who are involved in the business in one way or another. And there are so many of them that they seriously can't even be involved in their craft right now. Churches can't use them, because they don't want to expose that. You get the exposure thing going. A lot of churches are virtual now. Synagogues. So the problem is it's impacting talent in our area in a way that we've never seen before, and at least not in our generation. And I'm sure that anything you guys can come up with in the way of an innovative way to show music, to put music out there where folks can hear it, is going to do well. Has there been much response to it?
Yeah, it's you're absolutely right. I was before taking over Mercury full time, I was a tour manager for a long time, and I would go out on the road and I worked with, there's guitar techs, there's the ecosystem, the financial ecosystem of live music is massive. And you mentioned earlier the loss, and I actually have the number in my head. It's $30 billion that the concert industry lost this year, which is massive. It's a GDP of a lot of countries. So trying to figure out how to keep it alive right now is just a massive priority for us. And there's been a lot of response. I track the data. Mercury is really lucky because of the type of music that we bring in and the really dedicated fan base, and there's a lot of folk fans and Red Dirt fans. So we have a international audience. A lot of people, will do our live stream on Facebook every night, and you'll see hi from LA or, hi from Canada. And so that's been a bright spot for sure, being able to kind of keep people engaged and keep it going. And also opportunities like this, being able to generate awareness. Most people that aren't in the industry, they take it for granted. You go out for a date night, you go get some food, you go to a concert, you go home. And that's kind of the end of it. But if you think about shows and the financial impact, the waitress at the restaurant that you went to is making money. The cook, the chauffeur, if you paid for parking, the bartenders, the door guys. I mean, there's so many people that are affected by this from top to bottom.
Yeah, and there's one area too that we haven't even discussed, and we might take just a few minutes to talk about. That young singer or that young musician who's looking for an open door. Those doors are closed right now everywhere. I mean, because established musicians and singers, are trying to work, trying to keep an income going, and they can't. It's just not there. So the young ones that we would normally see trying to make a name for themselves at this point in time have nowhere to turn.
Yeah. You're exactly right, and it's tragic. With Mercury, the size of the room that we are, by nature, we're mostly focused on those young artists. We're mostly focused on trying to find the artists that are on their way up, right? So that we can keep that trend of really solid booking. The effects of this, what I'm concerned about, aside from just the financial, is if you think about the creation of art, if you think about the creation of music and the things that drive it. And the opportunities to do so, a lot of those have been removed. Even if, I heard one guy going, well, there's going to be a lot of songs that come out of this right now. And it's like, no, not if the guy that writes those songs is working at a fast food place because he doesn't have any other option. It creates barriers that prevent the further creation of that music. And so,
Sure.
What's it going to look like 5 years from now? Is it just going to be more recycled?
The tragedy of this, Bob, even though we have a vaccine now that's the light at the end of the tunnel, we're still in the tunnel. They're telling everybody, as far as the death count and the case count right now, that the worst is yet to come, that we have to literally go through COVID hell before we can start to see a change in the pattern. We've got people who refuse to wear a mask. We've got politicians who see mask wearing as an infringement on the freedoms of their voters when it isn't. It's just one of the little tools we can use to protect ourselves and the people we care about. And you know that. Yeah. But the problem is the folks that are dragging their feet on this issue are causing damage to the rest of us and to your profession as well. I don't know how that's going to be solved or resolved, but I do know that the best news for folks my age and young folks like you is, this vaccine that's with us now and others are joining the ranks. So very soon we'll have other vaccines available. If we can get everybody to line up and take them, then we can impact it, and then, Mercury Lounge can get up and running again, along with all the others in town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're speaking to probably one of the most frustrating parts of my existence right now. With with us doing live music, before the city instituted a mandatory mask mandate or a mask mandate, we had already required it of our bartenders, in conversation with the bands, in conversation with the staff, and trying to do what we knew was right to be able to even be open. And that meant we had a lot of friction at the door. We had a lot, and we still have to deal with it. The day that they finally did enact the mask mandate, I already had a sign made that said opinions optional, masks mandatory, which was kind of a joke, but also I feel like if people could practice a little bit of empathy and understand that their personal opinion does not impact the reality that all these businesses are dealing with, and that all these service industry people are dealing with, and all these families are dealing with that are losing loved ones. It's just incredibly selfish and really, really frustrating. And so yeah, that's something that we've definitely had to deal with, and we continue to have to deal with. And I don't know the answer to that other than, I feel like I do my best to not get super political. I feel like there was a failure in leadership early on, and I feel like that failure in leadership continues. And the people that aren't going to wear a mask are only going to listen to the kind of people that aren't telling people to wear masks. So what do we do?
Yeah, we're very polarized right now, and it's going to kill a lot of us. It really is. Well, listen, my friend, we're out of time. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for coming by. Down the road, this thing isn't going to be with us forever. When things ease up and when we see the death count and the case count drop, let's talk again, okay?
I would love to.
All right. In the meantime, take care of the Mercury Lounge. Thanks for joining me, partner.
Thank you,
well,
sir.
Folks, we're out of time on this portion of our get together, and we'll be back, I guess, after Christmas. And there'll be no more Christmas decorations behind me. There'll just be remnants. So we will see you all then. Have a great Christmas. And I know Hanukkah's still underway, and I know by saying this it's going to be after the fact, but happy Hanukkah as well. Take care, wear a mask, wash your hands, avoid crowds, don't get out and think you're bulletproof, because you're not. None of us is a bulletproof individual right now. Take the high road and listen to science. Listen to science. It's critical. That's all the time we have. Thank you for being a part of it. We'll see you next year.
Ghosts was the song that defined this band, no question. Like, we knew we were a band when we sat down and worked on that song together, because you can play a lot of music, you can sit down and I've played with lots of musicians that just bang things out and get in a recording studio, sit down, and these guys listen. And as a songwriter, to be able to have this kind of talent behind me with Danny and Darren, and to be able to really interpret the songs together, which is the biggest strength of this band, is that it's not just, oh, let's try to sit down and record this thing and knock it out. These recordings sometimes take us months to get one song down, just because we're looking for the specific parts, we're looking for the syncopation, we're trying to represent those three-piece bands that all sound so much bigger than they are.
Uninvited they dance inside my mind, like Dolly wrapped over my synapse, remnants of a love surpassed, value as a mistake. Photograph, dreading their return, I contemplate the time spent unwinding the pain of lost ones, of lost love. Tormented as my mind unravels time, ghosts of mine resemble love. Ghosts of mine represent heartache and abandon. Oh yeah, ghosts of mine portray gaiety compared to mine, a dismay, hey, 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 hey. Ghosts of my hand. Images possess my mind, a loved one's lost so far behind, union severed in pursuit of bliss, contempt of priests, fiends, angels, and witches. Experience builds as I ride my dory, the Titanic in the Atlantic, reminiscent of his story. Loved ones sank like sheep, ghosts of mine resemble love. Ghosts of mine represent heartache and abandon. Oh yeah, ghosts of mine tend to portray gaiety compared to mine, a dismay, hey, 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 hey. Ghosts of my hand. closer.